sorry, I didn't get all of it. It broke up a little bit, but I think I got the gist of it. Is you were asking about the Matimba male and him being down here, and why is he here and why is he outside of his territory. I think that's the gist of the question, is if I did hear it right. There was a bit of a break up there, but basically the Matimba males, there were two of them that used to be dominant in this particular section. So they were males that looked after the Nkuhuma Pride and the Sticks and basically filled the same area that the Birminghams did. And so they spent a lot of time in this area. And they then got ousted by the Birminghams just from a numerical point of view. It was 5 against 2, and so they shifted off into Londolozi. When they got to Londolozi, they spent a lot of time there, and from there they were sort of quite settled until the Majingalans and another set of males came in, and they then pushed the Matimbas back north. The Matimbas then went into Manyaleti, and they've been camping around the southern Manyaleti, a little bit into the Kruger Park. They've been spending time around Hamilton's, Hoya Hoya in the Kruger Park area. And so what's probably happened is they might have run into other males, and that's caused them to separate and shift out, and we've now ended up with one coming back this way just to see if he can't sort of get away from the other males. So it might be that he's heard other males roaring, and this was just the safest path that he could take to get away from that. I don't know, but it will be interesting to see where he went from last night, because last night he wasn't too far from the Nkuhuma Pride, and I'm hoping that he didn't actually meet up with them, because ultimately those cubs, even though they're getting bigger now, are still not his, and there is a potential that he might go after those cubs and try and chase them off. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Birmingham's response is. Whether or not that Matimba roared last night is debatable. I don't know if he did, but if he did, he's asking for trouble, because he's going to get not only the Birminghams from this northern side, but he's going to get the Majingalans on the western side of him riled up as well, and they might come in and try and chase him. So it's playing a dangerous game by being in this area. It's probably much better for him to try and get back and try and find his brother and be able to then stick around with him, or not brother, but his coalition partner, and try and stay that side rather than coming this way. There's far too many male lions here for an older, aging male to look after himself. But the male lion dynamic lately has been really interesting. There's been a lot of movement, particularly in the south of the reserve. It seems like there's males going in and out all the time there. And I wonder if we're not going to see a shift of one of those groups of males coming up north. It will be interesting, because the Birminghams as yet have really gone unchallenged. They haven't had to really kind of compete for their territory, and since they've become dominant, no one's really tested them in any way. So it'll be interesting if maybe the 3 Solala males or some of the other males that are down in the south started to come up this way, what would actually happen, and whether the Birminghams would start to stick together a lot more than what they do now. Now we see them, they go 1 here, 1 there, 2 in places, but very seldom do we see all 4 of them together. And it would be really quite interesting if we had other male lions push in here that were intent on taking this area, whether those Birminghams would start to come together, or if they would then get caught short and get picked off one by one, much like what happened to the Mapojos. The Mapojos had such a large area that unfortunately they split apart, and they then got hammered one by one. So I would imagine that the Birminghams would have to be a little bit more clever and be more like the Majingalans and stay together as much as possible. Now, I was saying that there was this update about the spotted cat. So